Hey, Lino from Mexico. Nanda from Toronto. You must be happy as well. You must be excited, right? The World Series, it's seems to be going over there. So, welcome to SC900 session. It's a one-day session that we have prepared for you, and I'm so happy to be here. And let's go ahead and get started. So, we have on this session, we'll talk about what is the introduction to security, compliance, and identity. Whenever we talk about security, whenever we talk about compliance, we have a lot of tools, a lot of uh, aspects of the security that we must be putting in place, and of course that we must architect so we can put uh, those tools where they belong. Obviously, this is like a balancing act. I can put a lot of security, but it might be complex to maintain. It might be expensive, obviously. And of course, we need to think about the best way to architect. And of course, we need to stay within compliance. From India, oh my God, it must be late over there. Thank you for being awake this late. And we're here to talk about this basics, this fundamentals on what security offer does Microsoft has, what is the compliance tools that we can implement. So again, we can be sure we work with a safe environment. We have a huge ecosystem that is very robust. All right, actually, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, a lot of organizations jump into Microsoft because it's a very robust ecosystem, right? So, yeah, of course, we will do that in a minute, Adam. We'll talk about what's the schedule, the breaks, and everything that we have ready. So, yeah, we will go there in a moment. So, this is me, as you can see there, and you can see in your cameras. I am with Censored Learning Institute. And again, I'm so happy to be here. I've been a trainer for Microsoft technologies and other technologies, other clouds for over 5 years, almost 6 years now. Before that, I had this informal training, right? On my previous job, we had they were managing medication. So aside from that, this organization was they were fans of purchasing other small companies. So as you may imagine, we had a lot of challenges in terms of identity, in terms of authorization, authentication, the management of these mergers. It was kind of difficult. Jumping into the cloud made things a lot easier. Believe it or not, managing multiple domains, managing multiple ways of working with identities, identity providers, it was a bit of a nightmare. But again, working with the cloud brought a lot of solutions and benefits, of course, that we got back in the day. So I started to learn about the management of identities through uh, Azure Active Directory, also known as Entra ID nowadays. And I got that informal way of training. I'm a little nosy, so I was into meetings I was not supposed to be in, and of course, I start to learn about the management of cloud technologies. Um, After I left that job, I started to deliver trainings, and that's what I've been doing for a living for the last 5 years and a half. And it's so uh, it's a great job, because I get to learn from you because you are you're having your hands on the technology. You're on an every day on a daily basis. You're working with technology, and what we will see on this training, it's like an ideal world, right? What you see in your work every day, it has a lot of variations, a lot of variables that we have, and of course that brings a lot of challenges. So keep that in mind. What I will show you, what we will go over with today, it's what we see in an ideal world. Of course, everything can change. Everything will be a bit more complex. But again, that's what we're here for. So you can have a foundation, a strong foundation on what the technologies are. Okay, now let's keep going. About the session, again, as a foundational session, we'll have everything that is I'm sorry, the basics on what are the what is the security offer that Microsoft has, what is the governance offer, what are the tools that we can implement, what is the purpose, and of course we will learn basic concepts on what are the tools like Intra, what is Purview, what is the usage of the security solutions that we have on the Microsoft ecosystem, and like I said, it's very robust. So sometimes it might be just having a great architecture so we can get great results, right? But this is the reason why we're here. We'll go over these solutions. What is this foundation on how can we implement these tools? This is the expected schedule. We'll start right now with the introduction, then we'll jump into the learning path number one. Around the next hour or so, we'll have a break. All right, 15 minutes, so we can have some coffee or just stretch our legs or just get off this off screen, and you will not be hearing me for 15 minutes. Then we'll have path number two. We'll talk about what Entra is, also known as, or formerly known as Azure Active Directory. Then path number three, introduction to security solutions that Microsoft has, and then lunch break. That will be around 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, so you can get your lunch ready. You can put it into the oven, and we'll be back in an hour. And then in the after the lunch break, we'll talk about what are the secure solutions we have for Microsoft, and we'll have a break around 2, I think, and the last topic will be private in Purview. So this is the outline, the expected outline that we have. Obviously, I don't put hours here because this might change depending on the pace that we have now. But this is the expectation that we have for today. Okay. Now, we have the Learn profile. If you go to learn.microsoft.com, you can access to a Learn profile. You can keep track on what you are studying. If you're preparing for a certification, you can go ahead and find everything you need here. So let me show you real quick where you can find what you can find here on Learn. So we go to MS Learn. You can find it here online, and everything you need can be found here. So, for example, I have here some items that I've been working with. For example, GitHub fundamentals, the this training that I was giving a couple of weeks ago. And again, everything you do, you can keep track of your advances here. You can save them. Um, you can create an account. As you can see here, please don't laugh about my email. I used this one when I was very, very young. So please don't laugh about it. And yes, I'm kind of old because you can see, as you can see, I have a Hotmail account. So yeah, you're too young to have Hotmail accounts, right? But yeah, you can use personal accounts. I will recommend you to do that. Sometimes corporate accounts won't work with MS Larn. No worries. I will strongly recommend you. Nah, I don't believe you, Matthew. I know that. I know what you're talking about, James. Yeah, my niece too. It's cold here. Well, to me, it's cold. We're like around 40. Um, and my niece are like, "Hey, dude, it's about to get cold." I know what you're talking about, James. So yeah, you can use a personal account to access Microsoft Learn. Okay, I will strongly recommend you to do that because if you get certifications, they will be start here. Okay, so uh, excuse me. So every advance, everything you do. Actually, if you notice, we have here kind of a XP points, right? Like I don't know if you do Minecraft or something like that. On Minecraft, you can get this um, experience points. It's something like that, right? Every time that you move into trainings, you will get this experience points, right? And again, you will be able to move around all the trainings. And actually, you can find here career paths. Whether you are you're bragging about that, Stephen. You're level 7. Yes, it is, William. It's a free portal. No need. You don't need anything else but your account. All right. Oh yeah, sure, for sure, Ben. It's better if you do a personal account, all right? So yeah, you can find here whether you are working with AI, whether you are on DevOps, whether you are on infrastructure, all right? So you can find here everything you need. And actually, you can come here, for example, if you would like to work with Azure, right? You can browse through all the Azure trainings. For example, let's suppose that I am an architect, right? So let's go ahead and look for the architect role, right? You can find here everything related to architectures. For example, this one, if you're thinking on becoming certified as a architect expert, you can take this online training, ACE 305. All right, everything is here, so you can tell we have the all the topics that are on the trainings, they are here. And actually, whenever we think about this specific session, we can go to SC900 on Learn or MS Learn. Please skip the advertisements. So I'll put this in the chat. All right, so you can go ahead and there you go. You can find here the courseware. Everything that we have on the slides is here. We cannot share the slides because they are, copyright protected. But everything is here. I promise. You can find here every single topic that we will go over with on the session. So you can find here the introduction to security, what is Entra, security solutions, and and Purview. Everything is here. Okay. So don't forget to sign up, to sign in then with your personal account. You will find here everything that we'll go over with, even the assessments. All right. So everything is here. All right. And you will get your experience points, and you can maybe chase Steven that it's at level 7. He's way over me, that I'm at level 5. But yet, it's highly recommended that you come here, sign in with your Microsoft account. If it's Hotmail, we know your age now. But if it's not, again, if it's Outlook, it's okay, right? So everything is here, right? I just dropped the chat in the chat, the link. You can find your Learn profile right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Where were we? Here. Okay, great. So create your profile on Learn. Again, you can go to aka.ms slash my Microsoft Learn profile so you can get everything, every single training that Microsoft has to offer is there. Okay. Like I said, the training material is, they are there. Level 13? Oh my God. Look at that. Wow. God, I can tell you're doing a great job with Learn. You can find here also laboratories. They're not going to be covered during the class time. It's not designed for that. But you can go to aka.ms sc900 slash labs. I'll drop this one in the chat later, so you can go ahead and work with the exercises. Right. Again, this session does not include the laboratories, but you can go there and you can go ahead and work with the exercises. Right. I'll drop the link in the chat later. All right. So you will be able to work with those exercises. Okay. Now, um, achievements again. Once you finish the training, you can go ahead and find there any training you complete will be you'll find it here as an achievement. So you can tell, yeah, I was able to complete that training. So celebrate those achievements, and of course, you can go ahead and do this with any training that you have on Microsoft Learn. About the certifications, this little research that we have here on 2023, Pearson VU is the organization that runs the exams, the certification exams. They found out 91% of the IT professionals, they feel confident, they feel empowered whenever they get certified. So advice is get certified. All right. It's not mandatory, but again, it will be nice to say, hey, I'm a certified I'm a professional, right? About the certifications, again, you can come here. and look for SC900 exam. Not this one from Udemy. This is not a sponsored, by the way. It's just pop-ups there. So you can find here everything you need for the exams. For example, you can prepare you for your exam, you can practice for the exam, or just enroll and take the exam. Everything is here. So I'll strongly recommend you that if you will be presenting your exam, come here into the prepare your exam. Go ahead and review it. You can use this as a guide. And again, I promise you, everything is there. The practice, you can take the practice assessment, which is also strongly recommended that you do. The sandbox, if this is the first time that you're taking a Microsoft certification exam, do the sandbox. Why? Because it will be presented the platform that you use to present your exam. All right, and of course, this is to help you to feel more confident. You don't have to worry about the platform. You just focus on answering questions. So strongly recommend it. Do the sandbox and do it as many times as you need, right? Because again, you will feel empowered, you will feel confident, and you don't have to worry about the platform. You just go ahead and answer the questions, right? About the exam, it's a 45-minute certification exam. You may say, oh wow, 45 minutes, but yet you have enough time, right? I promise you, you'll have enough time to answer all the questions. You can find here the policy, everything related to it, all right? And well, if for whatever reason you fail, there's nothing wrong in failing. You can retake it 24 hours after. Okay, the second time, the third time it will take a bit more, but no worries. I have failed. Let me be honest with you. When I started to get certifications, I presented a SharePoint certification. I did it 5 times. I could get the cert after 5 tries, right? So nothing wrong with that. Okay. Uh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering that, Kristen. Okay, great. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. This is for the exam. You can see here we have the study areas which represent the percentage. These percentages are related to the amount of questions. Well, the estimated amount of questions that you can find on the exams. For example, about security concepts, compliance, between 10 and 15% of the questions will be on the exam, and then, well, the other percentages. So, yeah, you can use this so you can prepare the topics a bit more than others. Obviously, a recommendation is that you prepare everything the same, right? All the topics the same, but well, you can have this expectation on the certification exam. By the way, we have a giveaway. It was posted on the invitation. All right. And of course, we'll have the announcement at the end of the class. Very important for everyone, folks. You must be here for around or must be above 75% of the class so you can qualify for this giveaway. And it will be very important that you are here with us, right? So you can get into this giveaway that we have for you. Okay. So give me one moment so we can continue. Now, I'm very open to feedback. I'm very open to questions. If you have them, please drop them into the chat. Usually at the end of the session, we have 15 minutes or so we can have this time locked down so you can answer your questions. We can talk about them. And but again, if you have questions regarding the delivery, please drop them in the chat. It will be great um to answer your questions. If for whatever reason I don't have the answer, I will deliver the link with the answer, or I will research and give you the answer for sure. But no questions will go unanswered on the session. Okay, so um we have everything ready so we can get started. Once again, thank you, everyone. I know you have something else to do today, and you're here to giving us the opportunity to give you not only information, because information is over there online and you can find it easily, but also to share experiences. And again, I really hope that by the end of the day, when you walk away, um, you have not only information, but you have a nice experience, and of course, you have a solid baseline, so you can start your enterprises and your projects using Microsoft technologies. I will shut off my camera. I don't want you to see my hands moving all the way around because that's what I do when I get excited explaining some things. But I'll come back with you later on my camera. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the first topic. All right, we'll talk about oh, of course, we have some poll questions. All right, that we will get throughout the day. All right, so please expect this and stay tuned. All right, so we can have those poll questions or quizzes. So there you go. It's on you should have a pop up in Zoom. All right, for polls and quizzes. So please go ahead and answer them. Okay. Oh, so for yeah, presentations later, study material will also be shared. I shared that into the chat a bit earlier. No worries, I'll drop it again into the chat. All right. So you can use that. Oh, there you go. Oh, we should hire you, Stephen. You're so handy. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Hey, Kristen, we should have we should look for a spot for Stephen. He's so handy.
I agree. I agree. Thank you, Stephen.
Great.
We'll give you guys about 30 more seconds to respond to these polls. And then, yeah, Marco, you can go ahead and move to the next section when you're ready.
Sure. Thank you. Well, everyone is ready. I'm having a sip of coffee. Oh, I know, Steven. Thing is that Microsoft does this because there are some other exams coming. Sometimes they're not; they're just retired, and because we're moving out to onto other um, type of validation of knowledge. Honestly, and the specific reason why I'm not really sure, but usually Microsoft does this again because there are some other new exams that are coming instead of this one. Let me tell you something. When I was trying to become certified as an architect expert, I had there were two exams, ACEF 303 and ACEF 304. They were gone, and then Microsoft came up with ACEF 305. Only one exam, right? So that's some Microsoft stuff, right? Joe, AI Focus, Copilot for all. Yeah, you're right, Joe. Everything it's about AI nowadays, right? I'm not sure about that. Actually, let me find out if when is it going to be retired, and yeah, we can check on that, Stephen. Yep, I'll take that for the break. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and continue. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so very much. So let's go ahead and continue. Now, um, let me start telling you this. And this is my way of thinking about security. Um, Whenever we talk about security, I think we cannot achieve it at 100%. All right. Oh, the online access, it's well, it's available 24/7 until it gets retired. So you can access it at any moment, James. No, there is no limit no time limit in terms of when you can access it. Yeah, great. So um, This is my way of thought. I don't know if you share it. Maybe you, maybe so, maybe not. I consider you cannot achieve security at 100%. Not in the cloud, not in life, right? Um, Actually, I don't know if you're anime fans. I'm a fan of anime. I grew up watching Dragon Ball and Robotech and a lot of anime. There is one anime called Attack on Titan, and if you watched it, you may remember there were a lot of walls separating humans from Titans, right? Um, and that's why we have a lot of security tools. All right, so we can get separated from those titans that are malicious users. I don't get me wrong. I don't think it's good that we have hackers and malicious users and all that. Um, Chi and Tay, you know about what I'm talking about, right? But they are very very creative. All right, whenever it comes down to um, vulnerate our environment. So my way of thinking is that you cannot achieve security at 100%. That's why we have defense in depth. That's why we have I know, James. That's why we have defense in depth. That's why we have zero trust. That's why we have a lot of security tools out there. Okay, so let's talk about what is the security, what is compliance concepts that we have in Azure, what are those concepts, and of course, identity. Identity is very, very important that we handle because we work with people, we work with applications, we work with um, devices, instances. All right. So we'll talk about security and compliance concepts. What is the responsibility model? Uh, Ibrahima, that's the key word that I think we all should be keeping in mind when we design the security strategy, being proactive. It's better being proactive than, well, reactive, right? And I mean, this is everything in life, right? For example, cars nowadays, they have this driving assistant, right? So we can have this proactiveness in terms of security. So yeah, totally agree with you. So we'll talk about this shared responsibility model. What is zero trust, which is a security concept? What are the concepts of encryption and hashing, and other some basic compliance concepts? Okay. Now, whenever we if you remember back in the day, we used to have our on premises, everything was there, our domain controllers, our servers, everything was within on premises. So we considered on premises to be a safe place, right? Nowadays, and after last century, we started to open up those safe places, right? They were fortified, but they had to be open to the internet, all right? We started to have issues, security problems, and security challenges because of that. We have the implementation of security all the time, right? And as we move into the cloud, we have now this need to share the responsibility with the cloud provider. Thank you there, Kristen. You have the A plus, Sec plus, Network plus. Yeah, totally, right? So, question for you: what is the cloud in your own words? If someone comes in and asks you, "What is the cloud for you?" What would you say? There you go. Someone else's computers. Thank you, James. Bala Kumar, always available compute. Yeah, totally. Pedro, thank you. Someone else's computer. There you go. Virtual environments, Stephen. Thank you. James, access to resources over the internet. Shared environments, pay as you go. Not my not my problem. You remember that not my problem. I like that definition because it's true. Totally, Jen. Hosted somewhere else. Definitely. Um, I don't know if you remember that movie called The Matrix. All right, and there's this scene when one of the chosen ones it's bending spoons with his mind. All right, and he said that there is no spoon, right? Same thing happens with the cloud. There is no cloud. It's someone else's computer, right? So everything you said, it's totally true, right? It's with the fair. Totally, totally, Joseph. Not my problem until it is. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that one from you. But yeah, it's true. It's someone else's infrastructure, right? And because we are leasing, renting someone else's infrastructure, we are sharing the responsibility. All right. And that's what we have here on screen. In blue, we have on premises, meaning customer, meaning everything, it's mine. My grandma used to say, it's your dog and you take care of it. All right. So for yeah, if it's a combination of multiple resources, definitely, definitely, right? Everything, all the infrastructure that we can rent, that we can lease. And again, we need to share this responsibility with the cloud service provider. So, I'm sorry, it's the not my problem concept. It fits so right, right? So, just like Joseph said, not my problem until it is. So, not my problem here. Excuse me, it is my whole responsibility on premises, right? Because I need to get all the responsibility on managing data, devices, identities, infrastructure, right? I need to have a land where to put my building, um, my data center. I need to put the wiring, the cooling, the power, the security, on premises, it's all my responsibility. All right. Now, whenever we move on and start using cloud services, now we share the responsibility with this cloud service provider. So we have infrastructure as a service, and here we are leaving the responsibility of the physical data center to the cloud service provider, meaning um, someone else's problem where this is going to be located, whether if it's at the top of a mountain, under the sea, which by the way, have you, do you know about this NATIC research project about the underwater data centers? Have you seen about those? Yes, you do. Thank you, Phil. You have. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Brandon. So, um, there you, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, yeah. We got Microsoft working with. Actually, let me show you real quick. This is not part of the training, but I think it's interesting. Natick Research Project, Microsoft. Ah, I'm sorry, I have chunky fingers, so I have problem. Look at that! What a awful typo. Just this is just a little commercial. All right, this is the research project that Microsoft conducted. I'm dropping the link in the chat. Right, I'm waiting for the Mars data center. That'll be interesting. Yeah. So we had this underwater data centers. They were there you go. This is the preparation of the server racks. There was no oxygen within these pipes. Um, and of course, the consumption was way less than an inland data center. Of course, Microsoft tried to make it work with green energy. The cooling was provided by by the cool water. This was deployed down here in I think it's Scotland and somewhere in Seattle here, the locations. Um, and yet, it was nice idea. The project, as far as I know, excuse me, as far as I know, the project, it was just that, uh, just like a little test. Um, but again, it's part of what may be done in the future uh, regarding data centers, right? But again, that's responsibility of Microsoft. If I get one of those virtual machines in one of those data centers, it will be Microsoft responsibility to manage it. All right. What is my responsibility as a as a customer. Here, my responsibility is that I need to manage the whole virtual machine, the whole operating system. I need to manage the network. Obviously, I can share the responsibility of the network and the applications with Microsoft. The identity and infrastructure it's also shared, but I always will keep data, even if it's used on with artificial intelligence. My data, it's my data, right? um, Devices, whether they're mobile or traditional devices, and identities. That is my responsibility always. And then we have platform as a service. What if I don't care or I don't know how to manage operating systems, right? What if I don't want to know about that? I just want to know about my business logic, right? I know I'm a developer, right? I don't want to know anything about the operating system. I can leverage that to the cloud service provider. Then I will need to manage some networking controls. I can share that with Microsoft. The application, obviously, it's my application, but it's running with your platform. All right. And of course, the identity, it's also something I will be sharing with the responsibility of the management, right? And then we have software as a service. Do you know, or can you tell me an example of SaaS? China just launched, and I don't know where. Oh, I'll look in that, Soraya. Interesting. Yeah, I'll look in that. Thank you. Balakumar, Gmail. Yeah, exactly. Chintan, Office 365. Pedro, Office 365. SN. Exactly. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. George, AWS. Exactly. SAP, SAP. Right. Zoom. Exactly. Salesforce, Chintan. Thank you all. Exactly. That is software as a service, right? I will just get my subscription, right? And I pay for it. I don't have to worry about updating the code. I don't have to worry about the data center. I don't even know where it is, all right? I just pay for a subscription. It's like whenever you go out, all right? You go out for dinner, you just need to know what you want, and you just need to pay for it. Infrastructure as a service is whenever you get all the ingredients for your dinner, right? And you bake that at home. You cook that at home, right? Umbrella. Oh, yeah. Is that the same umbrella we're thinking, Stuart? Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. It's Cisco. I'm just joking because if you I'm as you can tell, I'm a bit geek, right? And I was thinking about um video games. So yeah, I know. Thank you, Stuart. It's sad that most softwares are subscription based, though. Essentially, you're paying more over time. Yeah, I know. Um, Thing is that we have if you're not into development, your organization it's not willing to do that. Yeah, and you can tell. For example, in Microsoft, you pay a subscription, and then in another, and another, and another, right? Yeah, yep. It's a fun games until BGP table. Oh God, oh God. Right, you're totally right, Brad. Um, yours is network engineer. I envy you. I'm not so um proficient into networking. I'm trying my best, uh, but yet I'm falling short. Even though I have a network certification, but still. Uh, Anyways, let's focus, right? So we are sharing the responsibility. Someone else is the endless problem. Yeah, and it becomes everyone's problem. Yeah, yesterday was awful, right? If you were working with Microsoft products, God, it was a rough day. Anyways, so defense in depth. Like I said, the example of Attack on Titan, right? We need to put everything. Yeah, Laura, I know it was awful. It was awful. Ah, well, it's a new day and everything's working. So AWS as well. Uh, what a bad day. What a bad day. Anyways, so defense in depth, right? This is a concept that we need to keep in mind every single time that we are architecting, managing, or deploying security services. Why? Like I said, someone at some point, somehow, will breach one of the security layers, all right, and will go through. Right, maybe here, maybe here, maybe here, and usually, if you look for defense in depth models, this is what you will find in the center, the data. All right. Why? Because malicious users are after this data. All right. So, um, again, you may have heard about hackathons, you may have heard about um, ethical hacking. Exactly, everything is moving around the data. Right, you're totally right, Stephen. So you may have heard about those events, right, where big organizations are trying to bring talent, all right, so they can find great areas, they can protect, they can add another layer of security, all right, and of course, um, it's it's a strategy that we must always keep in mind. So we have a physical security we can find there. Obviously, fences, and obviously, you need a badge to access the data center, and you need some degree of security access to go into the server rooms, etc. So we have the physical security. Like it says here, only authorized personnel can get in there. Identity and access. Whenever we will talk about this later, I just want to make a stop here. Whenever we talk about identity, we need to be very careful. Whenever we give an identity to someone, we are expecting them to do what they know to do, right? Someone at finance, someone at HR, someone at marketing, they are not supposed to be IT experts. We are, all right? So this is not only giving a username and a password, giving MFA mechanisms, conditional access mechanisms. No, we need to educate our users, right? I can promise you, you have received a scam email, a phishing email in the last 72 hours for sure, right? And again, it's very important that we, well, maybe not you specifically, but the IT departments that we create this um, culture of security, right? Because again, users are not IT experts, but it's important that we do it, right? That we implement these campaigns, right? There you go, Stephen. Right, campaigns, right? Let me tell you a little story. When I was working in IT, I was part of the service desk for quite some time, and we got this campaign on sending fake phishing emails. Whomever who failed to comply with the policy, they were into a training. I was the trainer, all right, and you won't believe the first week how many people I got on those rooms. But again, I'm not blaming on them. Is that we were not proficient enough to educate them, right? So it's very very important that identities. It's not only I give you a strong password, I give you your token, and that's it. No, we need to put a little effort on educating users, right? Yeah. George, train everyone on. Yeah, that I know. Sometimes we don't have the time to train everyone. We don't have the time to run these campaigns, but it's very important. And I think, just like you said, George, we should do it on everyone, right? Anyways, so we have identity, perimeter security, for example, protection against DDoS attacks, network security, so we can set boundaries, we can implement ACLs, for example, we can implement rules so we can allow or deny traffic over our infrastructure. Compute layer security, again, we can implement protection for instances, right? Virtual machines or physical instances, mobile devices, very important. Application layer security, again, we can ensure that our applications are protected, and data. What if none of these layers it's enough? and it gets breached all the way down here. All right. Very important that we have a way to protect this information. And we will see how can we do it. So it's very, very important that we think about defense in-depth approaches. All right. A layer. We'll start educating elementary. That'll be awesome, Matthew. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome that we can start at least with the foundation, right? Because, like I said, this is not only IT. This is in life, right? And you might say, "Oh, you're so paranoid, man." Yeah, and again, we're trying to be proactive, right? So yeah, I do believe that we should do that sometime, someday, right? Okay, great. What time is it? Okay, great. So we have our CIA, right? Not the CIA you're thinking about. This is a different one. So we have confidentiality, integrity, and availability. All right. Exactly, Stephen. No, offline doesn't ensure security. All right. Like we on premises, it's not secure anymore. Even if we have everything locked down there, right? This is a good CIA. Yeah. Well, at least, yeah. Okay, great. So, CIA goals of cybersecurity, right? Confidentiality. Whenever we are working with customers, more than likely we will be working with their personal information, all right? Their addresses, their names, even social security numbers, credit card numbers, sensitive info. So it's very important that we provide enough or strong mechanisms to ensure this confidentiality. Integrity, all right? We are managing massive amounts of data every day. So we need to be sure that that information it's not changed, all right? Like you said here, it's not tampered. And availability, all right? And actually, this is one of the reasons why we're thinking about the cloud. I want to have my information available all the time. What happened back in the day? What happened, for example, when we start to work with floppy disks, right? Whenever we move over CDs and DVDs, and then we moved, well, actually, it seems that we're going back there, right? The only limitation for CDs it was the storage size, right? Um, but it seems that we have jumped over that fence. Um, exactly, exactly the physical handshake days. Exactly, exactly, Matt. And again, nowadays we can get information replicated, even not in the same building, replicated on different buildings. And what if I don't want my information to be lost if that building gets compromised? I can replicate it somewhere else, many miles away, in the other side of the country, maybe, right? So availability, it's also very, very important for my information. Every time I move information to the cloud, I need to think about this CIA, that my information gets confidential, that my information it's always with this integrity and always, always available, that I can access it at any moment. All right. Remember, you can drop your questions in the chat. I thank you so very much for your comments. They are awesome. You are awesome. SLA, exactly, Stephen. Service level agreements, right? There is a contract that says you will have your information available this many this percentage of the time, right? 99.99999% of the time, right? So yeah. Now, zero trust. I said earlier, I sound like a paranoid man. And this is basically what zero trust is. All right. In zero trust, we have this motto: trust no one, verify everything. Sounds like we took this from the X Files. All right. And well, you may see why. So, why we should implement zero trust methodology whenever we think about security, just like defense in depth. We need to think about that every single time we are allowing access, it must be verified, it must be double checked, right? And again, we should not trust nothing. All right, like on the X Files, if you're fans. So, what are the principles of zero trust? Be explicit, verify all the time. Do you know what is the principle of least privilege? I me yeah, that was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, Grace. Yeah, I love X Files. I must say, and my wife knows it. Scully was my crush when I was like around 16. Balakumar only give access as required. That's the word, Balakumar. Minimum, right? Minimum access. Pedro, only enough permission to do your job. Exactly, right? No excessive permissions, the minimum level of privilege that you need. Thank you, Shalam. Exactly. Thank you all. That's the principle of list privilege. Give the minimum amount of permissions at the minimum level. All right. So it's very, very important that every time that we think about authorization, we do it with the principle of less privilege, right? Everything in as is guilt until proven is exactly. Yeah, you're totally right. Um, and assume breach. This is also again, you might be thinking that this is very paranoid, but yet it's putting us into the safe zone, right? Assume every time there will be a breach. Joseph, no, unfortunately, the slides cannot be shared. However, I will drop again into the chat the link for the courseware. Everything is online. I found it. Actually, Stephen was so kind to drop this earlier. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Brad, for dropping that one. Great. So we have these pillars on the zero trust model, this six foundational pillars, identities, right? Again, because we need to give permission to people to access, and not only people, also applications and also devices, right? Or instances. Data, all right? The data, it's important that we classify it. Why? Because we have sensitive information, we have public information. All right. If we cannot classify that, we will be protecting everything, and there will be a waste. All right. There will be a huge effort to protect information that maybe it's not supposed to be protected in the first place. Right. Labeled and encrypted. Again, once I classify data, sensitive information, information that must not be public, I put labels on them. I make sure everyone can see that information must not be shared, all right, publicly. And then I put encryption on it. Infrastructure, all right, because again, we may have a malicious user trying to get to our data through infrastructure. And again, the network, it's another entry point for malicious users, so we need to protect it as well, all right. Correct, Steve. The Ziza maturity model, exactly, right? So, again, what is the foundation in practice, all right? Whenever we need to implement our defense in depth approach, use this six pillars, all right? And again, always verify, right? All the time, be very, very explicit. Encryption. So, like we mentioned earlier, at the center of our defense in depth approach is the data. How can we protect the data? We can encrypt it, right? This is one way, only one way to mitigate or to prevent against common threats, right? We encrypt our data. But wait, do we encrypt all the information? Answer is no. We only encrypt sensitive and valuable information. All right. So, what is encryption? It's just the process of making data unreadable. All right. So, how can I read it? Well, you decrypt it. All right. How you do that? With keys. All right. So, we have shared keys, public keys that we can use for this encryption. All right. We have these two um, models for encryption. We have symmetric encryption. We use the same key, so we can excuse me, we can encrypt and decrypt the data, right? There's no need for a secondary key. The other one, the asymmetric encryption, we use a public key and a private key pair. Either we can go ahead and encrypt the data, but a single key is not going to be enough to decrypt it. We need a second key, right? And again, we need that paired key, not any key, but a paired one. So I'm sure you have heard about this. Maybe you even used it on a daily basis. You may have heard about TLS, you may have heard about HTTPS protocols, data sign in. And again, it's important that we encrypt data, whatever it is, all right, that we do it at rest. Every time that we move information, for example, over Azure, if we move information over Azure, information gets protected, gets encrypted automatically. All right. Information gets decrypted as soon as we take it off Azure. All right, that is protection for data at rest. What if my information needs to traverse the public internet? Is that secure? More than likely not. So I need to protect my information in transit as well, right? What about the information that it's maybe leaving the boundaries of my on premises or the cloud? Then I need to protect the information in usage, right? For example, whenever you get a subscription for streaming, all right, then you download movies or music. Does that mean that it belongs to you because it's on your device? No, it doesn't belong to you. Can I use it? Can I export it? No, it's protected, right? So, again, we can go ahead and encrypt our data depending on what the purpose is. Oh, what was that? Oh, it was on one of my speakers. Okay, so um, then we have also this concept or this tool of hashing. All right, so we can implement algorithms. All right, so we can turn text in its original form to something that is unique, and we have this fixed length of hash values. All right. So every time the same text will be hashed with the same algorithm. All right. The same hash value will be produced, and the hash can then be used as a unique identifier, for example, to associate the data. All right. Is this the same as encryption? No, it is not. This is different. Um, excuse me. I'm sorry. What is the difference? It doesn't require keys. All right. The hash value, it's not subsequently decrypted back to the original. All right. Hashing can be used, for example, on passwords. So we can go ahead and think about another layer of security. All right, we can get a user, right? The user enters their password. The same algorithm that created the stored hash, it creates a hash of the entered password. All right, there you go. MD5, right? Correct. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, this is compared to the stored hash version of the password, right? If they match, the user has entered a password that is correct. All right. This is more secure than storing plain text passwords. But hashing algorithms are also known to hackers. So, because hash functions are deterministic, the same input produces the same output, the hackers can use what? Brute force dictionary, for example, right? Brute force attacks uh, by hashing the passwords, all right? For every match hash, they know the actual password, all right? So, how can we mitigate this? Excuse me. The password will be, where's my pointer? Here. The password will be salted. All right. So we will be adding this random value, this fixed length of random values in the input of the hash functions. So we can create a unique hash for every input. All right. Hackers cannot know the self value. The hash's passwords are a bit more secure. Right. So it's for example, do you know how Cloudflare it works in terms of what do they use for security? If you haven't, you can check here. Let me show you real quick before we go for the break. Cloudflare. lava lamps. Not gonna go down here because it's not even related to this training. But if you haven't heard about this, the lava lamps and Cloudflare for encryption, take a look at it after the training. It's very interesting. And well, it's another way, another example, and how can we implement this type of mechanisms so we can protect our data. Okay. Now, um, about governance. All right. So there are rules, there are regulations, there are ways in which we can um, protect our data. But again, there are rules on this. All right. And of course, we can go ahead and implement tools that will help us to reduce the risk, improve the compliance effectiveness, right? And again, thinking about GRC or governance compliance and risk, um, obviously we need to get the proper tools so we can cover this. Um, this part of the implementation in using cloud service technologies, right? So, what is governance? Again, we have a system of rules, all right, best practices, the management of um, yeah, this best practice, this baseline, so we can manage, we can control our activities, all right. Many governance activities arise from external standards, all right. um by any chance, have you heard about HIPAA? This is for the US. You have? Okay, great. Great. Thank you. Exactly, health insurance, right? I used to work in an organization that managed medical records, right? Exactly, Stephen, PII, right? In Europe, what about GDPR, right? What about the SIOs, etc., right? Exactly, Leventa, GDPR, right? So all those regulations are intended to protect um, information, right? So there is. It's not only about this external standards and obligations and expectations, right? Uh, we may have our own as organizations. We may have our own rules, right? Uh, we can establish those rules, processes, and they will define who, where, what, when users and applications can access resources, right? Corporate resources, for example, who has admin rights for how long. That's governance, all right? Risk management, well, we can go ahead and assess, we can identify, and of course, we can act on threats, all right, or anything that may impact negatively our company or even our customers, all right. So, um, we as organizations we face risks from well, externally and internally, right? Um, and again, we may have externally anything may happen, right? Socially, politically, even the weather, right? What about what happened in 2020 as well? um Security breaches, for example. There might be a lot of these external risks, right? And again, we need to protect against leaks of sensitive data, intellectual property theft, um, internally, right? Fraud that may happen, right? Insider trading. So again, risk management, it's another very important part on how can we um, manage the security. Stephen, how would someone go about finding best practices for setting up rules for governance? I think, oh, there you go. Thank you, Lydia. We should think about Lydia as well for taking a spot here. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. There were some of them. Talking about Microsoft, that we will see later where we can find this best practices. Even how can we get this assessment in our environment, Stephen? So yeah, thank you so much, Lydia. That's a very very nice source of information. Great. And compliance, all right? Again, compliance that depends the region, the country, even locally, right? Maybe we have regulations in the state, all right? Or maybe there are multinational regulations, all right? And we must follow them. So, these regulations will define how data must be protected, what processes will be required, and obviously, if that doesn't occur, what penalties are issued? All right, because we might fail to comply. So, again, what is going to happen if that occurs? Right. So, it's important to know that compliance it's not the same as security. We may get this little confusion, right? Security should be considered when we build up a compliance plan, all right, because again they come together. um but again, compliance requires only that legal mandate minimum standards are met, all right. Again, if it's in terms of data security, if it's in terms of processes, technology usage, etc., all right. So, um about compliance, you may have heard about exactly Balakumar, HIPAA, SOX, exactly BCI, right? So, um, concepts that you may have heard about this exactly GDPR, right, in Europe. Data residency, for example, all right, there are regulations that govern the physical locations where we can store data, all right. Not only that, when it can be transferred, how can it be processed, or who can access it internationally, maybe, all right. It depends on the jurisdiction, maybe. What else? Data sovereignty, right? This is another important consideration for data. This is, well, particularly personal data, right? It's subject to the laws that you have mentioned in the chat, all right? But again, it depends on the region, it depends on the country. And again, we can add a layer of complexity when it comes to compliance, because the same piece of data can be collected in one location, it can then be stored in another, and it may be processed elsewhere. You see the complexity? We have many countries and regions involved, right? James, there are a million of compliances. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Depending on the industry, depending where you are, depending on a lot of stuff, right? Tito, ICS, yeah, exactly, right. We can spend here all day talking about the regulations, where they are, what they're intended to, and yeah, but you're totally right. What else? Oh yeah, data privacy, right? So again, um, there might be laws, regulations that cover this personal data, this fundamental principles on how the data it's collected, how it's processed, where it's stored, and again, data means an information relating to an identifier or identifiable natural person. Right? Again, we have privacy laws that get any of that data linked directly or indirectly back to a person, right? And again, every single year, well, me and my coworkers back in the day, we had to be recertified on HIPAA because we were managing medical information, right? So this it's important that we are always within those regulations, right? And just like you said, James, there is a bunch of laws, regulations, codes of conduct, you name it, right? So we can manage our data, the privacy, etc. We lovingly call our GRC team the collective. Their motto: "You will comply, resist." I like that one. Thank you for sharing, George. Yeah. Okay, great. Now, before we jump into this second module, which is identity, any comment or question that you may have? Excuse me. Awesome. My grandma used to say, silent is golden. I differ a little because I have an 11-year-old girl. I have two dogs. I have now three cats because my wife just brought another baby cat. So if they are quiet, only God knows what they're doing. So let me see what they're doing. Let's get a cup of coffee and let's be back in a quarter. Okay. So um, maybe some pancakes. All right. If you haven't had breakfast yet. So thank you all for your attention. Let's be back in 15. I'll put the timer on screen, okay? Okay, great. So, welcome back, everyone. After having some caffeine, after making sure that my my daughter is not setting the house on fire, um, welcome back. Okay, so we were talking about basic concepts about security. What is the responsibility that we're sharing with the cloud? Any cloud service provider. Actually, this is not only for Microsoft. You can think about any cloud service provider. And well, now let's move on into identity. Identity, it's a very, very important topic. We mentioned it earlier. We are going to give permissions, we are going to give access to our data, infrastructure, devices, uh, everything that we have in our environment to someone or to something. Right, remember, we can give permissions to users, applications, and instances, right? Whether it's a mobile device, whether it's a traditional PC, a virtual machine, for example. And again, it is a very, very a critical endpoint. So we need to protect it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and jump into this topic. Just do me a favor, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. It doesn't matter that you have the cup of coffee in your hand. Use the other one to give me the thumbs up. Thank you all. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have mine here. I have my coffee mug, which, by the way, it's Grogu's. All right. So my coffee's in good hands, right? Thank you all. I'll shut off my camera again, so you will not see the Marcus show, but you will hear me. Okay. So thank you all. Um, we'll talk about the difference in between these two concepts that you may say, oh, it's very obvious what is authentication and what is authorization. We will talk about that. Concepts of identity and security perimeter, and what is identity, what are the identity related services that we have. So, um, excuse me, we have the authentication and authorization concepts. It is very, very important that we know the difference with them. And like I said, you may say, God, Marco, that is very obvious. Who cannot tell the difference in between authentication and authorization? So think about authentication of giving the access. I'm a fan of, I'm a sports fan. All right. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Dodgers. Nothing against the Jays. I think they will get this one. But let's suppose that I am the lucky holder of a World Series ticket. All right. I can go to the Dodger Stadium. That is the access. All right. I can get access to Dodger Stadium, so I can get in. All right. That is the authentication. Now, think about, I am in Dodger Stadium. Can I go anywhere I want? Can I do anything I want? No. All right. Why? Because I need authorization. All right. Same thing happens with our identities. I need to give access. All right. I need to tell, oh, yeah, you are who you claim you are. All right. And then, can you do anything you want? No. I will give you permissions. You can go ahead and sit in the at Dodger Stadium, maybe um, and right field, and that's it. Right? You cannot go anywhere else. Well, you can go to get a drink or something to eat, but that's it. Right? You cannot go down to the field. You cannot go down to anywhere else. All right, that is the authorization that I'm giving you. So it's very important that we again think about what permissions I'm giving you once you have access. All right. Now, we have this concept of identity um, as a primary secure perimeter. You might the fear or not, but it's a fact. that it's very, very important that we adapt to this reality in which the perimeter can no longer be viewed only as on-prem network, right? We mentioned earlier, back in the day, we could set that. Everything is fortified in on-premises. If I'm not giving you access, nothing's going to happen. I'm all safe. Nowadays, this doesn't happen that way, right? Why? Because we have connections outside on-premises. And then who connects with on-premises? Our users, our devices, partners, customers, and applications. All right. So again, this bubble that we used to consider as secure, it's not secure as it was anymore. Okay. So again, we have these four pillars of our identity infrastructure administration. So we can manage the authentication and authorization, the concept of authentication and authorization, and the audit. All right, we can go ahead and view, we can monitor, and we can analyze, and we can even get alerts, and we can respond to those alerts real time. All right, so it is very, very important that we consider identities as a very important matter whenever we are thinking about security and governance. Now, um, what happened back in the day, last century, let's say around the 70s, 80s? You might be very young to remember that, maybe not. But again, it's very important that we consider that modern authentication, it's not only a username and a password, right? Seen with new work of AI, we should add data into the mix as well. Yeah, definitely we should consider our strategy, right? Including the access to data, definitely. So, when we think about this modern authentication, a username and a password are not enough anymore, right? By any chance, did you watch this TV show called Mr. Robot? Maybe with this guy, Rami Malek. You did, Lydia? Great. Hyun Tai, yeah, you did. Great, great. Awesome. Robert, great. James, it's a great show, Matt. I agree. If you have a chance and you want to go on this marathon on Saturday night and you are as bored as I am on Saturday night, go ahead and look for Mr. Robot. Why? James, you haven't. Okay, no worries. If you have a chance, watch it. Um, Obviously, everything goes around a fictional character, which is Elliot. Not gonna throw spoilers, all right? No worries. Um, Elliot is a hacker, all right? And what it's interesting about the show is that you can see actual mechanisms that malicious users used. Um, to hack people or organizations. Obviously, everything goes in favor of Elliot, right? For as complex as it seems, the task he can solve it, right? Because he's the main character. Anyways, you can see there um, the IT crowd. Yeah. Well, I don't know, James. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, it depends on taste, right? But I do prefer rewatch the Mr. Robot. Um, it's a nice thriller. So you can see there, for example, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything. If you remember, Elliot uses social engineering, right? And it makes you think, oh wow, I do the same things that the victim do every time, right? What do? I put my pictures on social media, where I go, where I like, what I like, where I am, with whom. Um, for example, if you follow me on social media, you will notice that I'm a fan of Alien. All right, the Alien, the Xenomorph universe. Right, I'm a diehard fan of it, and you can tell, this dude, I'm sure his password is related to to Aliens universe, right? And it was because I learned from Mr. Robot, right? We are throwing information everywhere, all right? Everything we put online, someone is listening, someone is watching. Therefore, and coming back to the topic, modern authentication, it's very, very important because, again, people, our co-workers, our the people that's working in organizations, they are not IT experts, right? And again, they might be throwing out their information everywhere online. So a username and a password is not enough nowadays, right? So we have on this modern authentication environment, we have this identity provider, right? Who is issuing an identity? The identity providers, they give an authentication that, again, it might be a username and a password or a token or whatever they are doing to whatever mechanism, and auditing services, meaning supervision, right? That we can monitor what is happening. IDPs, they also gives us this ability to manage the policies for authentication and authorization. And again, what can we do if there are outliers or abnormal behaviors, all right? And again, this modern authentication gives us this ability to implement methods that we didn't have back in the day. For example, single sign on. All right. The fact that you can use your password only once, you don't have to expose it over and over and over to access multiple applications, for example. Federation, all right, like I said on the my previous job, that organization, they love to purchase small organizations, right? Now think about managing all the identities that we had there, all right? Federation was very useful because we were providing, same as yours. Yeah, then you know what I mean, Chiante. um it's like, oh, we have a new merger. Yippee. New identities to manage. Yay. But yet, a federation was very useful, very complex, not so easy to establish and maintain, but it was a nice answer. And MFA, um, identity risk, there are a lot of tools that we can implement. They love to acquire new companies. God, I guess it's good for business, but not so good for us at IT, right? Well, and I know you have no, it is not. I know every time that you see IDP, the identity provider, it comes to your mind. Obviously, Entra, obviously GCP, well, the Google workspace, right? Even third-party providers, right, like Facebook or X or whatever, right? We have identity providers everywhere. One of them is Entra, formerly known as the Azure Active Directory. So in the context of our network in our on premises, we have directories, right? And back in the day, we managed um, domain controllers, all right? And we had our directory, which it was a hierarchical structure, all right? There, we stored information about objects, right, on the network. So a directory will store directory data, obviously, and of course, it will be available for anyone who access the network, right? Um, the global access list, the printers, computers, data, and this is given. This access is given to users, admins. Not only that, applications and services, right? So to manage these directories, we work with something called something called Active Directory, right? And Microsoft developed this directory services back in the day. Again, you might be too young to remember, but it was part of Windows 2000 for on-prem domain-based networks, right? And again, we got our ADD, right? Our Active Directory Domain. services. I forgot the S, ADDS, right? So, what was the purpose of this? Store information about the domain, obviously, who was part of that membership, all right? And again, we handled users, we handled devices like printers or PCs or servers, all right? And ADDS verified credentials, defined their access rights. Again, authorization and authentication, all right? And where do we run that ADDS environment? In the main controllers, all right? So back in the day, or well, still nowadays, but I mean, back in the day, it was the only way to manage identities. Well, not the only one, but the most common, right? ADDS, we worked with it as a central component for our identity management. All right. So we can manage multiple on prem components on the infrastructure. Um, but it has some limitations. And again, as we moved over, this technology shifts. For example, the internet and then the mobile devices. Well, ADDS found some challenges because ADDS does not support natively mobile devices, SaaS applications, LOB apps. All right. Why? Because they require modern authentication methods. So we had this new technological shift with the cloud, right after the internet, and then we got then this SaaS, the software as a service applications, personal devices to be used on an everyday basis, right? Obviously, this has resulted in the need of modern authentication, and obviously, the IT companies moved over. Well, the necessity of developing tools that could manage that, right? Uh, our first company who used Google never used it before, setting up the UID. You said it was just a process. Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. It's can be complicated. It might bring some details, right? Uh, Details. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit about the concept of the directory services. Now we have this IDaaS or identity as a service. Now everything as a service, right? Um, like you can't sync Azure groups with directory sync groups. Yeah, yeah, there are some limitations still that we may have, right? So, again, it's still we can have tools that can help us with the management of identities. Now, we just mentioned this, the federation. All right, we may have, and this is actually what we were talking about with the Gigante, right? The new companies coming in as part of mergers or well, it's not so simple to like, oh yeah, welcome aboard, right? Well, we need to manage domains, right? So, what is federation, all right? I know, I know. Yeah, been there, done that. It's not easy. So, we have this different this is a great example of the mergers, right? We have domain A, domain B. So basically, we need to provide access to domain B to domain A, maybe, right? Or the other way around, depending on what's the type of access that we want to provide, right? So business to customer, kind of. Actually, this will be more like business to business, Stephen. Um, a business to customer, maybe, yeah, maybe we can implement that, but the customer should have a domain, right? And usually they don't have it. So I think it's more like business to business. Um, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. So, and again, we need to this federation. It's basically established on this trust, right? I trust domain B, well, on this example, domain A to access domain B, but not the other way around. All right. So, in this example, we have a user authenticating with his ID identity provider on the domain B. All right. And we have a website or app service that is on domain A. All right. Whenever we establish this trust, users on domain B, they can access the website on domain A. Basically, is that, right? That we can establish trust in between domains, all right, and they can access the other domain with their credentials. There is no need for me to give user on domain B credentials for domain A. Right, he can keep on using his own credentials. There is a trust that has been established, and users will be allowed to access because again, we have established this trust already in between the two IDPs. It's not as simple as you can see here, right? SSO from the main B work exactly. Actually, that's what we're seeing here, Stephen. Single sign-on. All right, you have access with your own credentials, and you can establish single sign-on. So, with your own credentials on your domain, you can get access to a website without the need of providing your authentication again. Yes, it can be established. Right. And with this, we have concluded this first topic. We talked about the basic concepts of what security is, what is compliance, um, obviously the security concepts of defense in depth, again, layered security. We have the implementation of zero trust, that again, you might think that people that run security security engineers might be very paranoid about giving access, but yet that's their work, right? Being paranoid. The concepts again of GRC, all right, governance, risk, and compliance, and again, it's a very important baseline that we know these concepts because later on we will apply them. All right. Also, we talked about basic concepts for identity, authentication, and authorization. It's very important that I define mechanisms so you can be authenticated. And once that has been done, I give you permissions. And again, always, always, always think about the principle of least privilege because without it, we might be putting ourselves in a bad situation, right? Give the least amount of permission at the lowest scope, right? Um, Identity again, we cannot trust again only on a username and a password. We need to implement modern ways of authentication. Again, we will see this later. And well, the role of the identity provider, the IDP, it's important because again, is the one that will gives us the mechanism so we can be validated and we can get permissions. All right. We talked about directory services and what federation is. Okay. Are you ready for a little knowledge check? I hope you are. All right. So you can drop your questions in the chat. All right. Or you can just keep it on your mind, and you can say, "Oh yeah, I said the right answer," right? Even though you didn't. It's okay. Right. So we have this the first question. The HR org wants to ensure that stored employee data is encrypted. Which mechanism should they use? Hashing, encryption in transit, or at rest? Oh, that was quick, right? C, C, letter C, letter C, letter C. I see an A over there, but mostly letter C as in Charlie, right? So, yeah, if you think about hashing, right, again, we have an algorithm that, it's not going to be decrypted back to the original, so that's not a good idea. Encryption in transit, again, we have data moving from one location to another, but that's not the case, right? We have information at rest. So encryption will be the right answer. The second question, which of the following best describes the concept of data sovereignty? That was quick, Ryan. Thank you. CMB. Okay. B, 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 B. Okay. B, yeah. And C. Okay. Okay, yeah, and most of you were right. B, right? We get data that is again personal data. We get regulations in the country, in the region, and again, that will be the concept of data sovereignty, right? Oh, we have a couple two more, right? Which relationship type allows federated services to access resources? Oh, come on, this is easy. Yeah, there you go. Easy peasy, right? Yeah, trust relationships, right? We just talked about that. Yeah. Okay, great. And last one, someone was quick enough to answer it. Robert, thank you. That was quick. Authentication is the process of doing what? Verifying that the user device is that they claim who they are who they claim they are, right? So yeah, thank you all. Okay, great. Thank you all for your participation on this validation of knowledge. Again, is part of this um, let me start my lab. It's part of the of this material, right? So it's very important again that you do this knowledge checks here. Let me show you on your learn ah, here. You can find those knowledge check, not the same ones, but here you can check the assessments on your learn profile. All right. As you can tell, there are different questions, right? So I will encourage you to answer them and, well, as part of your learning process. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump onto the second topic of this morning. Oh, yes, James, give me a second. Let me reopen it. Oh, no, that's for the, where did I leave it? It's just we're talking about security and I come up with Windows XP, right? It's a this is a background that I get from an application called, let me show you, is this one. It's called Wallpaper Engine. You can purchase it from Steam. This is not advertised by any means. You can purchase it from Steam, and you can look for this animated wallpapers. Right, so that's why I guess I got my Windows XP. It was not intended, right? I was just trying to get my lab open. It does, Matt. It does bring back memories. Believe it or not, here in the country I live in, there are ATMs that are running Windows XP. I I found that last year. I was trying to get some cash, and the ATM was not. It was not working, and all of a sudden, the screen flashed, and it started to restart Windows XP, and I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of vintage." The name is Wallpaper Engine. I'll put it in the chat. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and you can develop your own wallpapers. Yeah, uh, I know, Sven. Yeah, this. Oh God. Yeah, you see what an image can do, right? Okay, great. So let's go ahead and jump into the second topic. There we go. I think you can purchase the wallpaper engine for a couple of dollars. I don't know how much is it currently. You can use it on your smartphone and on your PC. It's pretty cool. Okay, great. Now, we'll talk about the what is Entra, right? Like $3. Oh, thank you, Pedro. Thank you. Great. Okay, great. So, we'll talk about what Entra is, Entra ID, with the authentication capabilities. How can we manage those capabilities to access Entra, and what is the process of identity protection and governance? Exactly, Stephen, is the replacement of Azure Active Directory. Yeah. So let's talk about the different identity types that we have on Entra ID. We'll talk about the core functionality of this platform. How can we manage identities that are supported on Entra? And well, hybrid identities. How can we synchronize our identities, whether they are on-prem or elsewhere? Is there a difference in between Azure Active Directory and Entra? Well, no, it's just the evolution, like a Pokemon is the evolution of exactly Balakramar. It's a rebranding, right? It's there are just a few changes, right? Um, no, it actually it was just not the name of it. Actually, there were some changes. That's why I said it's like a Pokemon, right? That kind of evolved, right? And well, exactly. The interface had some changes. Yeah, consulting group changed them more, called it Entra. Oh, didn't know that, James. Thank you for that one. Okay, great. Now, um, as an Active Directory tool, Entra ID will it's an identity service, an identity provider service. We can manage identities here. We can create identities. We can give permissions. We can manage the we can manage the no problem, James. We can manage the metadata for those identities, and we can give permissions. But not only that, we can manage modern ways of authentication, and we can manage subscriptions as well. All right. So um, I want to think about Entra um, as a identity and access management tool. Um, but it works not only with services that we have in in Azure and Microsoft, right? Actually, let me use. Oh, I have a problem with my whiteboard. I close it and open it, and it does this. If anyone knows how to fix it, please let me know. I need to use this one online. Anyways, so what happens with our identities? All right, please forgive my drawings. My 11-year-old will do it better, but she's at school now. Clear the temporary. I'll try that, Steven. I'll try that. Yeah, honestly, I haven't troubleshooted, but hopefully that will work. I'll clear the cache. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'll save that and do it later. Thank you, Stephen. So, um, we have identities here on our on premises. All right. Again, we have users, we have printers, we have computers and devices in our on premises. Nowadays, with the internet, we have now identities with identity providers. All right. Oh, no, our IDPs, right? And again, we have, for example, the Google Workspace. All right, gives us identities. We have identities on Facebook, on X, maybe. Again, there are many, many identity providers out there. All right. Um, and again, also another identity provider obviously would be Microsoft, right? Or Entra ID. Obviously, we have also Microsoft 365, right? We get the identity provider giving us that. Thank you all. Thank you, Shiyante. Thank you, Stephen, for the tips and tricks. I'll try to fix it. So we have identities on the internet, right? And again, whenever we start using Entra ID, formerly known as Azure Active Directory, we can manage identities, obviously, that are here, all right, on Entra. But not only that, we can also synchronize identities that are coming from on premises. We can allow other IDPs also, so we can manage their identities. And here we can think about a business to customer, and a business to business. All right. We can manage identities from here and from here from on premises. All right. This is why I think on Entra as the One Ring. All right. And if we talk about the One Ring, we're talking about the Lord of the Rings. Why? If you remember, the One Ring, it was built it up uh, to rule the other rings, right? So you can think about the One Ring here as Entra, right? Even we can draw here. Again, please forgive my drawings. Right? This is Sauron. So, Entra works like the One Ring, right? Because you can rule identities regardless where they are, whether they are identities from your customers, from contributors, all right? So we can manage a business to business identity, or from on premises, even if we have federation. We can manage identities as well that are on a federation environment using ADFS, right? So we have one active directory to rule them all. So again, regardless where your identities are, we can go ahead and manage the synchronization, the authorization, and the authentication. All right. We have different identity types. All right, we have obviously humans or users, whether internal or external. As like I said, that might be identities created in the cloud, maybe by Microsoft 365 or Entra, or external users. All right, again, business to business, or business to customers. All right, so those are the human identities. Then we have workloads, because they only not only the humans are the ones that will access our infrastructure, right? Our data. So we have workloads, and there we can find containers, right? Like for example, applications living in a Docker container, VMs, right? Applications and other services, and also devices, right? Because not only APIs, Stephen. Yeah, that was a great one. It's a good one. Devices, right? Again, mobile devices. We are surrounded by mobile devices nowadays. IoT devices, right? OT devices, and also desktop computers, right? All of them need authentication and authorization. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our environment. All right, so we can go ahead and take a look at how it looks Entra. All right. Whenever you access Entra, you can access it directly from the portal. All right. You can go to entra. There it is. .microsoft.com. All right. So you can access. Let me change the. I'm sorry that I'm doing this right now. This is a lab environment. If I leave it open, it will get closed, and well, I will have to redo the whole thing. So I apologize for this. Um, there we go. Okay, so um, let's go ahead and access. Where is my tenant and a password? Not now. Not now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we access to the Entra Admin Center. All right. We can go ahead and God, I'm sorry about this. Like I said, yeah, I know my super secret password is now shown to everyone. I'm sorry about all this. Uh, I'll do this real quick, right? Just give me a moment. So, what happens whenever we start working with Entra? You get access to Entra at any moment whenever you have, for example, a Microsoft 365 subscription, whenever you have an Azure subscription, and whenever you have Dynamics 365 subscription, right? So whenever you have those services, whenever you have those um, yeah, whenever you have the a subscription for that, you get access to Entra. All right. Why? Because you need to manage devices, you need to manage the users, you need to manage again all the um, all the authentication and authorization that it's provided by these services, right? So um, the Entra, it's not the only place where you can go ahead and manage identities. You can also go ahead and manage them through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. All right, there we go. Once again, I apologize for this. There we go. So this is the Entra Admin Center. Just like this one, we have the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, where we can also manage identities. All right. Of course, I need to access as well. So this is how it looks like. What it's pretty cool is that it gives us a lot of information, like for example, your domain, your tenant ID, your role. All right, I'm a global administrator, meaning I'm the king of the hill on this tenant. How many users do I have? How many groups do I have in applications? And maybe even devices. All right. So this is the overview of my Entra um, admin center. All right, I can go ahead and access to check on the users. All right, so I can see here the list of users that I have here. Uh, they roll before you may. Oh, that is provided by the lab, so no problems there. Grace, yeah, totally. There is a courseware. Everything is there, so you can go ahead and check it at your own pace. I'll give you the link in a moment, right? I know it's a lot. Yeah, I know. And of course, there's a recording. Steven is recording, but there is a recording that will be shared with you on next week. All right. Exactly, Bala Kumar. Go to the Microsoft Learn, right? So, what do we have here? It's again our Intra ID Admin Center. As you can see here, we have our identities, all right? And on the identities, we can manage, for example, a photo, a UPN, all right? For example, here for Adele Bands, we have a UPN. This is a domain that is actually functional, right? I know it says on Microsoft.com, but it works. And again, you can find it here and you can see other information, right, about this user. Not only that, you can monitor, for example, sign in logs for this user, right? You can see here the date, the request ID, the user, the app, etc. You can assign roles. For example, for Adele, we can go ahead and assign I don't know, maybe global admin. All right. We can go ahead and add the application administrator, application developer. For example, the help desk admin. Right. Let's suppose that we want her to manage um, um, excuse me, the permissions for help desk, right? We go ahead and give this permission. We select the assignment type and assign it. All right, as simple as that. She has a permission. All right. Well, we need to wait a moment for it to be refreshed, right? Exactly. We need cheat sheets. For this so we can remember it, right? So again, here it is the role that we have assigned to Adele. We can also check administrative units, groups. For example, we see here all the memberships where Adele is part of. Microsoft 365 distribution security groups. Again, we can go ahead and add a membership for her. Applications, we can also see here the list of apps. For example, she has access to Box, LinkedIn, and Salesforce with her Entra identity licenses as well. Notice something. There is no place here where I can add um, a license. All right. Actually, it says right here adding, removing, reprocessing licensing. It's available here. not on Entra, right? So let me clear all this. Does Microsoft plan on creating the ability to create custom roles? There is, yes. Well, there is. Thank you. We have role-based access control, so yes, we can do that. So, how can I give a license, for example, to Adele? I need to come here to my Microsoft 365 Admin Center, right? I need to look for her, and then I can manage her licenses, right? Here, licenses and applications. I need to set the location. This is very important because there are different licenses on different countries and regions. So I can go ahead and add the license and applications from here. All right. What else? Devices, in case that she has enrolled devices, I can see them here. Notice this is Entra, but I can also see them and manage them through Intune. All right. Azure role assignments. If I have an Azure subscription, I can also give roles on this subscription. There is none right now, therefore I cannot do that. But through the Entra Admin Center, you can also give permissions on Azure. Again, you can manage your groups here. For example, if you want to create a new group, you have the option for a security group and a Microsoft 365 group. If you want to manage the other two groups, you need to come here into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So you can manage a team, you can manage a Microsoft 365 group, a distribution list, or a security group. All right. They are not available here on Entra. We only have security and Microsoft 365 groups. Okay. Now, depending on the license that you purchase, you can go ahead and um, get different features added to Entra. All right, so you can get a premium P1 or P2. So you can get, for example, conditional access. All right, if you get a premium subscription, you can manage conditional access policies, identity. Well, you can manage a MFA, for example. MFA, it's also managed here on the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. All right. For example, here we go to MFA. Let's give it a moment. Right, and we can manage MFA, so we can enable it, we can disable it, enforce it, etc. Right. What else? Identity score. So we can get this information about the assessment that we have on our tenant. All right. And we can get a score that is refreshed every day. We have a CA. We have the ability to manage password resets, authentication methods. And again, we have a bunch of features and tools that can help us to manage our identities. Again, I'm going this quick, not deeper into it because, well, this is a foundational training. There are other trainings that go deeper into this. I just want to give you a quick tour. All right, so you can check on some settings, some features that we have here on Entra. All right, and again, I can create new users or I can invite external users. On the event that I want to invite external users, I can do here, for example, a business to customer. No, I'm sorry, business to business. Right. So I can invite someone to collaborate. They can use their own ID, right, with their own identity provider. No need for me to create a new one. Okay. So only thing I need it's an email, right? An email address and send it over, and that's it. For new users, that will be um, what info needed for invites. Oh, okay. Question answered. Only the email. Um, if I need to create a new user on Entra, I just need the UPN, right? For example, here, MURS. The domain, obviously, I haven't purchased a domain, is not validated, so I will use the one that Microsoft gives me. All right. The display name, it will be this person right here. It has to be work email. No, 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 no. Actually, we are creating a cloud identity. All right. I'll tell you what we can do for work emails. All right. Actually, this will be a new identity, a new email. Actually, if we add it on Exchange, for example, this is a UPN, right? It's a user principal name only. Um, okay, a password. It can be auto generated, or I can customize it. The account will be enabled. I can manage some properties, for example, first, last name, information about the metadata, right? Job title, employee type, location, the address, for example, fax number, fax number. Um, oh, this is very important. Usage location. Again, because depending on the location, we will have different offers for licenses and so on, right? Oh, for the invite, no, 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 it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. It can be personal or it can be. Let's do that, right? We can add here any email address, all right? Um, let's do this one. Um, it's a corporate address, but I can do also a personal address. It's not actually. It doesn't really matter, right? But usually we do this because again, it's a business to business, right? So that's why we use a corporate address. But actually, it can be any. Display name, we put here the name, we can put here the message like welcome. This is the invite redirect URL, so they will be landing here whenever they accept the invitation. And again, we can add some other metadata, some assignments, for example, to groups or roles, and then we just send the invite. All right, let me see if I have one here. Um, maybe not. Well, I'll see if I can. Well, let's just send it. All right, let's say here, welcome, right? Just check it, send it. Well, I'll get the invite in a moment, right? Do all internal user accounts that are created always use the UPN as not always. Whenever you have a domain name that you have purchased and you have validated it with your registrar, you can use a different domain. Right? The UPN will be the user. Let's come back here. It will be the UPN the user, and you can select the domain, but the domain it needs to be purchased, right? In particular, the on Microsoft.com piece. Yeah, I mean this will be always the same. This is an actual domain name. It's valid, all right, but it's whatever is your the name of your tenant. For instance, it's WWLX whatever. But again, it always will have on Microsoft.com. If you purchase a domain and you validate you are the owner, you can bring it over. Actually, it says here, domain not listed. It's because of that. We need to validate the domain. Actually, that is here. Whenever we come into the setup, it's part of the setup process. You can set up your DNS, but you need to validate that you're the owner of a domain. Should be around here. Conditional access ID. Emails, device management. Should be somewhere around here. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, you can go ahead and set up your domain here. Um, and once you do it, you can select it from here. Okay. But again, ah, you found it. I'm sorry. Here. So here, if you use a domain you already own, you can bring it over, right? Or you can purchase a new one. Thank you, Darius. I was going down there. Okay, so yeah, once you have it, you can change this provided domain with your own domain, right? I just got the email for the invitation. Let me put it on screen here, right? And it says welcome, and it's telling me you're the mod administrator send you a message, and I can accept the invitation. Obviously, I need to log in. Give it a moment. All right, and it's telling me the permissions that are requested. I will accept it. I'm getting access to my applications. Obviously, this is going to be empty because I have not provided applications or access or licenses to this guest. This is a guest account. All right, so I can see here. I can provide here the applications and everything that is needed by this user, again, as part of a business to business account. All right. So basically, this is how we manage Entra. Um, well, again, these are the settings that we have on Entra, and again, we can go ahead and use it depending on what the purpose is. If we want all IDs from the cloud, we can create them. If we want to, we can synchronize them, which we will see next, or we can invite them. Okay. Now, for hybrid identities, what is that? If we already have identities on premises and we want to bring them over to Entra, we can do exactly what Stephen mentioned, domain synchronization, meaning I will select which identities will be synchronized with the cloud, meaning I will have identities copied or synchronized, better said, from my on premises, from my ADDS over Entra. All right. Yes, yeah, yes, Stephen. It's the actually we used a service called Entra Sync. It's a agent that we um, deploy, and that will be helping us with the synchronization of our identities. So we can go ahead and implement the synchronization. We can manage identities. Oh yeah, yeah, yes, on prem. I think I'm not really sure, but I think it is. Yeah. So yeah, again, we can go ahead and span on-prem and cloud-based capabilities with this synchronization. We will create a common user identity again for authorization and authentication. All right, and again, we have this synchronization of our identities that are on premises and in the cloud. Okay, let's jump into module number two. We'll talk about the authentication capabilities that we have on Entra. We'll talk about what methods do we have for authentication, what is MFA and password protection, and the management capabilities. So, um, being Entra a cloud tool, we have modern ways of authentication, modern methods, all right, that we can implement. And for example, obviously the passwords is the primary way in which we can provide this authentication. All right, this is the most common and traditional way to do it. All right, but like it says here, right? We may have those bad passwords, all right? Uh, if they are easy enough to remember, great for the users, bad for us as organization, right? Good for the hackers because it will be a lot easier for them to compromise those passwords, right? On the other hand, we have strong passwords. They are not easily hacked as the other ones, but maybe they are difficult to remember, right? And obviously, uh, the users will complain for sure, right? Recommend password lists or password required to be. Actually, rotation should be well, it depends on the policy. That you rotate passwords every month or every 3 months. So yeah, that will be depending on your own policies. Um, yeah, 3 months recommended. Yeah, you will not be messing up with your users every month, but 3 months I think is a recommendation. Uh, yeah, Microsoft recommendations. Yeah, 12 months, but yeah. So, again, We need to think about which passwords should not be used, and again, we can enforce it. It's very important that we think about enforcing this implementation of best passwords. All right, again, thinking about something that is not easy to guess. And we talk about this TV show, right, of Mr. Robot. And I told you that if you know me, you might be using a brute force attack using aliens. Movies words, right? So you can feed your brute force attack tool. So yeah, um, and again, we have other methods for authentication, right? Like SMSs or voice messages. Um, OAuth might be another way for giving a second authorization line. All right, we can use tokens, whether they are software tokens or hardware tokens. Regardless, it's a good idea to implement that other way of authentication. It's OATH because it's open authentication. OAuth, it's a token. OAuth, OATH, it's a open standard. This will specify the TOTP, the time-based one-time password. It will be generated. All right. The one-time password code can be used to authenticate users. And again, it might be again with this type of tokens, right? Software or hardware tokens. And passwordless, again, we can think about uh, biometrics, right? For example, Windows Hello biometrics. It's something you are, right? You can use your fingerprint or your face, right? It can be used as face recognition, so we can get those parameters to be used, right? And of course, it's very important that we get um, that we validate what infrastructure do we have so we can ensure our users can get access to this, right? So again, we can think about this type of implementations. So it's again, we have multiple options to do this. Repeat password history, yeah. Your users will hate that, right? Because they will say, oh god, I need to think it's something new, right? Again, we need to set up that culture, right? The importance and why the passwords must not be the same as the, I don't know, the last five maybe, the last 10. That's too much, but it's secure. Password restriction go off to heavily found. Password history is 14. Yeah, right, and very strong password. So it's important that we keep that in mind whenever we are managing this. MFA. MFA, it's a. We used to say that multi-factor authentication provided 99% of security for identities. Uh, well, let's talk about this first, and then I'll tell you why that it's not so true currently. Um, Back in the day, we used a password and a username to access our resources, right? But again, that's not so safe. Maybe someone can guess your password and they have free way to access your identity and whatever you have there on your account, right? Using a multi-factor authentication gives a second layer of authentication. You need to provide something you know, for example, a PIN code or a secret question and an answer, obviously, something you have like a token, whether if it's software or hardware, maybe a smart key, a smart card, or something you are. And we just mentioned in Windows Hello, right? Biometrics, maybe. We have this security defaults. All right. This will require everyone to get MFA. All right. It will force administrators to get MFA and also enforce MFA for all users. Everyone should be enrolled, but you can select who can act, who must have MFA, right? And again, we can come here into MFA, all right? We have here the list of users. We have the settings for the service that we can implement. Excuse me. And we have here the settings. Allow users to create application password to sign in into non-browser applications or not. All right. We can select IPs that we consider as trusted. All right. We can also skip MFA for requests on federated users on my intranet. All right. It's very important that we think about that we have uh, this type of settings planned. All right. So we will not be messing up with security, right? So here we can enter the range of IP addresses. Other verification options, all right, we can allow users to remember MFA on their devices that they trust, all right. And we have as a default 7 days for trusted devices, but we can change this, all right. Um, Bulk updates. We can also perform updates for most of all of our users. And again, we have the ability to enable MFA, all right, for specific users or everyone, disable it, enforce it, or managing our MFA settings. For example, require selected users to provide contact methods again, delete all the existing app password generated by the users, or just restore the MFA on all remembered devices. All right. So, yeah, we we have this option on the usage of MFA. Again, um, notice something. MFA can protect users and data, but Microsoft recommends the usage of conditional access policies. All right. Um, we will have this recommendation over and over, especially because MFA, again, it's not as secure and again, is not as um, usable as we used to have it, right? So, well, it's a very important practice that we think about the usage of conditional access over MFA, right? Password protection capabilities, actually, what you were mentioning earlier in the chat, all right, we can reduce the likeliness of users getting these weak passwords, all right. So we have this features, right? For example, the lockout threshold, the lockout duration in seconds, banned passwords that we can customize, all right. This is pretty useful. So we can avoid this weak password that can be guessed easily, all right. And again, this can have an integration with our on premises. So this password protection, again, will gives us this ability to reduce this likeliness of weak passwords. And again, we can blame on users of because they're using weak passwords, but that will be easier for them. All right. And again, we can block these other weak terms that are specific to our organization. So we can have a default global banned password list automatically applied to all the users, but we can make it custom, right? Like we have on this list. Um, and again, we may have variations, right? That are created using an algorithm. It will transpose the text case to letters to numbers, right? For example, I'm sure that you have seen this, right? P455W0RD, right? It's yeah, it's creative, but it doesn't work anymore, right? So again, we can just go ahead and ban this type of oh, come on, this and delete it. Weird. Anyways, let me see why. It's the one here. I'm sorry. Sorry, wrong tool. So again, we can get this algorithm that will get this case and letters numbers like the one and the I, and again this passwords will be checked, and they will be added to this global um, list of passwords that are banned. Okay. On this module three, we'll talk about the management capabilities of Entra. We'll talk about conditional access. Why is it important to manage conditional access, global secure access, and the Entra roles working with role-based access control? Okay. I'm afraid roles. Yeah. That's true. There is. Yeah. No, it's gonna be live for quite some time now. I'm not sure until when, but it will be around for a couple more months at least. So, um, what is conditional access? What happens whenever we have people getting access from different places, working from different spots, maybe remotely working? What if we have the management of these tools, depending on what device we're accessing, right? So um, we can use conditional access. So we can set up this restriction based on if-then statements. If I am here, then what happens? If I'm accessing with this device, then what happens? If I'm accessing through these applications, then what happens, right? So we can go ahead and get access depending on the conditional access policy. Restrict versus block. That's a great question, Phil. We can set boundaries on what can you do. For example, and we will see this in a conditional access in a moment. All right. We can set, for example, I can give you a restriction on what can you do. All right. But I can block the access if you don't comply with this conditional access policy. So we can do either or, right, depending on the policy. James, I'm trying to follow along online, but the module and slides don't match. Is that expected? It changes. It should be aligned. I'll check it because I downloaded the latest version. But no, I'll check it and I'll see what's going on. Right, James? Sorry about that, but it should be the same one. How does a company know if you're overseas logging on? With the address range, you can mark, for example, a list of safe locations. All right, and again, Entra will assess that access, and of course, you will be marked as trusted or not. Does it get mitigated if you're dialing via VPN? It does. It can be configured. You can go ahead and configure the conditional access policy. So you can be only notified or you can be blocked. Again, you can be restricted or you can be blocked depending. Yeah. Geolocate. Exactly. VPN can be configured. Yep. Yeah, you can do that. Access of evil blacklist. Yep. Always no, sometimes strict access, Outlook versus known low access. Yep. Oh, thank you, Kristen. There you go. Okay, so conditional access policies. We can go ahead and set boundaries, block, or allow the access depending on these characteristics, right? Oh, lunch break in 15 more minutes, Stephen. So if you're hungry, just hang in there. We're about to go to lunch break, right? Just give me 14 more minutes, I promise, right? Yeah. You can put your meals in the oven. I promise in 15 minutes we'll be going for lunch break. So um again, we have signals, all right? For example, who you are, what workload you're working with, in which group you are, or the role that you have. You also can be marked as a risk. For example, just like you said, right? Do you know or have you heard about the impossible travel? Do you know what the impossible travel is? Have you heard about that? Oh, you have, Phil. Great, great, great. So let's suppose, for those who have not heard about that, exactly. Thank you, Malagumar. I'm in Chicago right now. I sign in with my account, and 30 minutes after that first sign in, my user gets signed in from China. All right, that's the impossible travel. That might be marked as a risk. All right, and depending on the policy, I can tell what is going to be happening with that sign in. Right, but then it has been marked as a risk. Okay. So yeah, if we use a VPN, we could simulate exactly. You can run drills using VPN, so you can test it. That's a good one, Balakumar. Trusted and device and compliant devices. Let me tell you a little story about this thing with the devices. When I became a manager on my old work, um, I'm an Android fan. All right. Never mind. I found it. Oh, okay, James. Thank you for the clarification. I was start to panic. Thank you, James. So, when I became a manager, I was given, as you may know, managers are given with Blackberries, but not the Blackberries, the old phones, but the old Blackberries. I was given with a phone, which it was an iPhone, and a laptop. I'm an Android fan, not a fanboy, but a fan. All right, because I like the customization. Back in the day, I was so happy with my cyanogen mod. All right, on my Android. In order to do that, I had to root my device. Right, but there was a policy by my company that I could not access my email, I could not access the in house applications with rooted or jailbroken devices. And that broke my heart because I had to stick with the iPhone. Nothing against the iPhones, they are very cool, very stylish. But I love the iPhone, the Androids, right? So we can set up those type of boundaries, all right? If you have a rooted device, if you have a jailbroken device, it's marked as unsafe. You cannot access the data or the applications, right? So we can mark those devices as non-compliant. Applications and data where you are, which is what we were talking about the VPNs and the locations, and the network compliance. Once you have validated according to the policy that you are here, that you have no risk, that you're working on a device that it's compliant, that you're accessing on a trusted application, that you are on a trusted location, and you are on a compliant network, you can be granted the access to the workloads. All right. How? This is evaluated continuously. Do you remember the concept of zero trust? Well, this is where zero trust is implemented. This is continuously evaluated by machine learning, policies that we implement, effective policies in real time evaluation. And if you remember, the impossible travel, it's an example of this, right? Even if we don't have the latest set of antivirus, you could be rejected. Probably depending on the policy. Right? So let's go ahead and do the conditional access policy so we can go ahead and take our lunch break. Notice, if I do not have a premium subscription here, Entra Premium 2 or Premium 1, I cannot use conditional access. All right. So before I create a conditional access, maybe I need to indicate countries that I can mark as safe. All right. So let's suppose that I'm in Brazil. All right. So I can add Brazil as a name location, for example, right? By an IP, IPv4 or IPv6, or I can determine that by GPS coordinates, right? I can go ahead and do that, right? I may want to do this, of course, always check this notifications. Um, couple of years ago, IPv6 and IPv4 were mapped to countries and regions. So we can go ahead and do this, right? So let's suppose that I have business in Brazil. So I can mark this as a trusted location. Let's mark it as BRA. All right. Obviously, I will look for Brazil, and I can add this location as a trusted location, right? I can also add IP address ranges. So I can create my policy, right, from scratch. We have templates, right? So I'll give the name here demo because my imagination doesn't go too far away. The users, I can select who can get involved in this policy. As a default, I have none. All right. I can say all users, but notice it says don't lock yourself out. This policy will be impacting everyone. So be careful with this. Select users and groups, again, guest or external users, directory roles. All right. So we can select, for example, the help desk administrators, maybe. Anyone who has this role will be impacted by this policy, or maybe specific users and groups, right? Let's say that I have here the digital initiative public relations, right? I will say select. So if you are a help desk admin and you're in this group, you will be impacted by this policy. Target resources, again, I can go ahead and select specific resources, all right, depending on the attributes. I can add here this policy, right? I can select specific attributes, excuse me, or specific resources. So I can select here Office 365, right? There we go. Network. This is as it says here. It's new. This wasn't available here a few months ago. Does it let you set locations as trusted for a time? Oh, like how's that called? Forgot the name of that. Well, yeah, no, no, you cannot set it like for I forgot the name of that feature on the virtual machines. Never mind. No, you cannot do it. Oh, there you go, Darius. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, maybe you can use something a bit more complex, right? Although Entra conditional access lack of built-in time. Uh-huh. Yeah, logic gaps. Remember, you must have an Azure policy, an Azure policy. I'm sorry, an Azure subscription, so you can use logic gaps. But yeah, that's a great one, Stephen. Yep. Timeout. Nope. No timeout. That's the technical know-how, but what's the business strategy behind conditional access policies? Okay, Grace, let's suppose that you're working with multiple environments, meaning multiple business units, multiple countries, multiple devices, even, and you need to give a specific access to them. Let's suppose that you have the legal team. They need to have access to obviously legal information, but you don't want anyone else to have access to that legal information. What you can do is manage a conditional access policy. Only people that is located in a specific region that is working only with specific devices, specific applications. Um, I don't know, other signals. Only they can access that application or for example here, right, let's suppose that they can access a specific data center, right, only if they comply and meet these conditions and the conditional access policy, you can give them the access, right, you can allow them the the um, the reason why you implement conditional access policies is to narrow down the access. You specify which conditions, based on these if then statements, which conditions will be met, so you can grant the access to someone or to a group of users or to an application. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. If not, let me know. I'll find ways to explain it. Google for the win. If you're new to space, are they think tanks or best practices summits, etc.? Yeah, yes, they are. I'll look for them and I'll share that with you in a moment. But yeah, they are best practices that you can implement for this. Again, the network, you can go ahead and select trusted networks or specific networks, all right, in case that you have For example, we mentioned Brazil, right? So let's suppose that this group, this help desk, it's in Brazil, right? The conditions, all right? Again, user risk, I can tell, yes, I want low risk, all right? The sign-in risk also. This is evaluated again by machine learning, by Entra automatically. Device platforms, locations, client applications, devices. For example, right? I cannot hear if my device is rooted, I cannot access. And then we can configure this other conditions, right? And then the access controls. If you meet this um, conditions, I can block or grant the access. All right, meaning I can go ahead and implement the management of this access based on the conditional access policies, and I can say, okay, you have met these conditions, I will grant the access. But let's suppose that I will require authentication strength. Let's say that I will require MFA. Let's say that I will require app protection policies, right? And I can have three ways so I can manage the policy. Report only, meaning nothing will occur, right? It will just let me know what's going on. On, so I will this will take effect, all right, or off, right? Meaning the policy is there, but it's not working. Justin, I use conditional access to prevent MFA session token takeovers. That's a great way to do a great tool, right? With token protection is designed specifically to prevent MFA session token theft, right? Uh, Reply attacks, for example. Uh, of course, there are a couple of things that need to be considered, right? Not all the applications support token binding yet. Maybe someday. The user experience, right? If users switch devices, they will need to re-authenticate again, and they will let you know they are not happy. But it's great, right? It actually let me share with you here. Thank you, Justin. This link that I'm sharing with you, it's a link for token protection with conditional access. So, in case that you were interested, you can find it there. There is the easiest way to explain the business strategy controllers. You can literally set up your controllers. Yeah, exactly. Based on, thank you, Darius. That's a great way to explain it. Based on signals, you can allow or not, or you can allow or not the access. Right? Great. So, one more thing before we go for lunch break. You can build up your policies from scratch, or you can use templates. These templates are categorized, for example, Score Foundation, Zero Trust, Remote Work, Protect Admin, or Emerging Threats. All right. So you can use these templates. You can even download them in a JSON format and a JSON syntaxes. Or if you already have a JSON syntaxes with your own template, you can bring it over. Let me show you. Here, you can upload your policy file on the JSON syntaxes, and you can bring it over to Azure. Okay, so yeah, you can do that. So that is conditional access policies. Next, we'll talk about intra global secure access, but that will be after our lunchtime. I know I saw that someone is, well, not someone, some of you are on the West Coast. You are on UK, which is, well, it's a bit late for you in India. But it's I'm sorry, I cannot accommodate lunchtime for everyone. But it's time to take a lunch break, right? Um, Before we do that, do you have any comment, question? Hopefully not, but maybe complaints. Uh, hopefully not again. Anything you would like to mention before we go for our lunch break? See, yes, 1 hour, 1 hour. Yeah. No. Okay, great. Now we will not be using that boring clock, we will be using this. All right. So do me a favor. Select best practice you see for conditional access. I'll Lydia, I'll look for best practices and I'll drop that in the chat because it's a bit extensive and unfortunately we don't go deeper into this session about it. But yet I'll look for it and drop it in the chat. I promise. No, no, thanks to you. And actually, that's a great one. Brandon, 3FDW3. Go ahead and oh, great. Nice timing, Stuart. Yeah, go ahead and select one doc. All right. And let's see who wins. I wish I could give you something, but I will just give you a nice hooray. Okay. So please enjoy. Thank you, free voucher. You know, you're going places, Steven. Yeah. Uh, nah, he bit me. Okay, great. Thank you for selecting your doc. Let's see who wins. And let's be back in an hour. Thank you all for your time and your attention. Please enjoy. Three, two, one. Here we go. Oh, that's cheating, Manish. Thank you all. Please enjoy.